for you. You may notice that I am the only one not wearing a mask at the moment, and we would like that to be the case throughout the day. I'll put mine on when I'm done speaking to you. So public safety is very important to us, and we appreciate your taking the time to come out in a crowd when sometimes these days crowds can be a scary thing. So you're about to meet some incredibly important historic figures from Manchester's past. Some have ties to Victory Park, others not so much, but we felt their inclusion in this program was very important. As far as business for the Manchester Historic Association, you may ask, but John, do you have any membership brochures? Yes, I do. And if you were a member, you would have been attending this event at half the price it would have cost you if you were a non-member. So please see staff members. Many of them have branded museum merchandise. Monique does not work for us, but she's wearing...
She doesn't work for Majestic Theater either.
But she's wearing branded merchandise. So again, take advantage. We would love to have you. Among other things, at the Millyard Museum right now, we have a tremendous exhibit about Pandora Industries. Some of you are old enough to remember when Pandora was making 60,000 sweaters a week in Manchester. And we have a great exhibit celebrating the legacy of that company. Right now we're talking about the legacy of the people you'll be meeting as you make your way around the park. Christy will give you the rules in a minute, but it's my pleasure to introduce the guy behind the scenes at the Majestic Theater who's been great working with us. So gentlemen and ladies, meet Robert Dion.
Good morning. I keep saying, what are we going to do if there's ever a rain date? We don't have a plan because we've done 4 of these and we've had 4 great days. We're happy to be doing our 4th tour with MHA. Some of you how many of you have been to every single one we've done so far? We've kind of fallen into a great, Christy, you've been there? Into a great group with these. We love doing them. The actors love doing them. As far as Majestic, the good news is live theater is back. You probably saw that. I'll tell you, when I get emails like Palace Theater intermission is over, I'm like, yes, Majestic Theater intermission is over as well. We have 2 shows this summer, so definitely check out our website. And you'll see tickets for that. We're still only allowed 30 people in our theater, so get one of those 30 seats. But lots of stuff happening. Most of you also know that we acquired Ted Herbert's about 4 years ago. If you ever took a lesson in Manchester or rented an instrument, you did it at Ted Herbert's. So come over, rent instruments from us, or take a lesson. You don't have to be 7. You can be 70 if you want, because lessons are happening both in person and virtually. So I feel excited because every time I get to talk to you guys, we're adding more programs again, which is great. So thank you for your support, and we'll turn it over to Christy, who gets the task of giving you the rules.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. Okay, good morning. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your Saturday morning with us. We have a little bit of housekeeping. First and foremost, you are going to see during your tour, you're going to see the Manchester Police Department roaming around for us, just making sure that everything's all good. And so if you see them, you can wave. If you need them, wave vigorously. But you won't, because it is a lovely, beautiful day here in sunny Manchester. So first things first, everybody has a number on their sticker. So in just a second, I'm going to direct you to your tour leader, and they will bring you to the stop that you are going to stop at. So there are 11 stops today. So 11 historical figures are portrayed in Manchester. With that being said, these actors are amazing. They look the part, they sound the part, they know the information. However, they know the information I gave them. So it stops at page 1. So if you have a question about the deep, dark secrets of General John Stark, please do not ask him, he forgets. So if you need information, I am here, John is here, Jeff is here, Dan is here, and we would be happy to get you that information. If we don't know that information, our research center is right behind us, and it is open on Wednesdays and Saturdays, so step on in and figure it out. We are going to rotate through the whole park. You will see every actor. We're going to stay there for about 5 to 7 minutes, and we just ask that your group doesn't move until we ring the bell. It's pretty loud and you will hear it, and hopefully that this is a nice smooth terrain for everybody. Some of those cemeteries are pretty rough. If you need assistance or help, please just flag down one of the staff and we are glad to help you. And now I'm going to call off the groups.
And here we go. Good morning. I'm John Stark. So born August 28th, 1728 in Nutfield, New Hampshire. I, Major John General Stark, would grow to be a man that fully embodied the words, live free or die. Death is not the worst of evils. I wrote these words 136 years before it came to New Hampshire's official state model. Growing up in the frontier community gave me the skills I would use later in life as a successful military leader. Hunting and fishing and scouting were among the pioneers' activities necessary for survival in the harsh wilderness. My first formal military action was from 1754 to 1759. I served in the French and Indian War with Rogers Rangers, first as a lieutenant and then later as a captain. Marriage and my farm and mill near Concord, New Hampshire, then occupied my attention for the next 16 years. At the outbreak of the American Revolution, I was made a colonel and fought at Bunker Hill in 1775 in the invasion of Canada and in New Jersey. In March 1777, I resigned my commission, but when Burgoyne invaded New York, I was made Brigadier General of Militia. On August 16th, my hastily raised troops attacked and defended British and Hessian detachments at the Battle of Bennington, Vermont. I was thereupon raised to the rank of Brigadier General in the Continental Army. I helped force the surrender of Burgoyne at Saratoga, New York in October 1777 and served in Rhode Island 1779 and at the Battle of Springfield, New Jersey 1780. The same year, I was a member of the court-martial that condemned Major John Andre, who served as a British spy. In September 1783, I was made a Major General and later resigned from duty after the war officially ended. Following this promotion, I retired to my farm in New Hampshire, where I spent the rest of my life until my death on May 8, 1822, at the age of 94. I'm buried on my farm, which is now a New Hampshire State Park. The end. Thank you.
It is good. Dzień dobry, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Are we all ready to begin? Very well. My name is General Kazimir Prolaski, and my short life was crowded with activities on behalf of democratic liberty. The importance of my services as a cavalry commander to General George Washington came at a time when mounted troops in the Continental Army were only a dream. I was honored at the formation of the famous Legion bearing my name, merit for the undying gratitude and admiration of the American people. Tremont Square was given to Manchester in 1848 by the Emmuskeg Manufacturing Company. It was renamed Pulaski Park, and a monument was erected in my honor for giving aid to the American forces in the Revolutionary War with Great Britain in 1933. Pulaski Park is only a few streets down that way. You can see my statue on your way out. The Polish people of Manchester donated the bronze equestrian statue of my likeness, and I am thrilled to see that they gave me a much-needed restoration recently. My father was a strong believer in democracy. Our family not only gave of our physical strength, but also helped to finance and sustain the newly organized armies in the struggle for Poland's independence. On August 5th, 1772, after fighting in a hopeless cause, Poland found herself humbled with the signing of a treaty of partition. This treaty took from Poland over 1/3 of her territory and placed 5 million of her people under Russian domination. As a young man, I sadly witnessed the humiliation of my people with the signing of this treaty. But undaunted, I fled to Turkey, where I spent considerable time seeking to incite the Turks against the Russians. After Turkey made peace with Russia in 1774, I fled to France and sought out my former schoolmate, Dr. N. Belleville, who was then serving his internship in one of the military hospitals in Paris. Dr. Belleville made possible the historic meeting with Benjamin Franklin, who was in Europe at the time seeking aid for the American colonies. Franklin knew of my military accomplishments as a young Polish hero. Without hesitation, Mr. Franklin furnished me with letters of introduction to General George Washington. Because of my bravery in the Battle of Brandywine, George Washington caused the Congress to issue me a commission as Brigadier General and command of all cavalry of the American forces. It can truthfully be asserted that I, Kazimir Prolaski, was in fact the father of the American cavalry. There are other monuments that are constructed in my honor in Washington, D.C. and Savannah, Georgia, as well as the magnificent Pulaski Skyway that reaches for many miles through the state of New Jersey, terminating at the gate of the great metropolis of New York. My greatest monument, however, is the legacy of my contributions to the cause of American independence, recorded in our archives of our national history. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. When I first started fighting, I was very young. I cannot remember how old exactly.
I'm always ready. Honestly, I don't ever know what to do when a camera's on me. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Are we waiting for the bell to start each round?
No.
No? Okay, fantastic. Betty Belanger Quinn here with the 45th Field Hospital Unit. Along with 17 other women in my unit, I became one of the first American nurses to set foot on the beaches of Normandy. I graduated in Manchester High School West in 1937. I spent a year working behind the lunch counter at Woolworth's on Elm Street, then enrolled in the Sacred Heart Hospital School of Nursing. We went to nursing school year-round in those days. When I graduated in 1942, they had these signs up everywhere. Uncle Sam needs you. So I enlisted. I wanted to go into the Navy, but my roommate, Irene Labrie Underwood, was afraid she wouldn't pass the physical. So in order to stay together, we both joined the Army Nurses Corps. Irene was sent to Hawaii, and I drew duty in Europe. My unit crossed the Atlantic on February 27, 1944. 12 days later, after landing in Cardiff, Wales, we were first billeted in the quaint village of Upton-on-Severn. We got French lessons in Severn, and then we were in a castle. In the mornings, we'd sew sheets together and put big red crosses on them. We knew we'd be lying them in fields to make it known we were a hospital. It was to keep planes from bombing us. Eventually, those sheets and all of us nurses, along with 640 soldiers, were bundled aboard the William N. Pendleton, a U.S. merchant marine freighter scheduled to cross the English Channel a week after D-Day. The horrific casualty count, with more than 10,000 killed or wounded in the assault, altered that timetable. A field hospital was like a giant intensive care unit. The goal was simple: to keep men alive long enough so the hospitals in the rear could put them together again. Sadly, we couldn't always meet that goal. We didn't lose many, we kept them alive. That's what we did. And we did so with stunning efficiency in primitive conditions. When I retired, I was presented with the French Legion of Honor, the most prestigious award issued by the government of France, as well as the Bronze Star from the American government. Uncle Sam needed me, and I was honored to do my part. You're welcome. Thank you all for coming.
Morning, Mr. Greene.
Morning, Joe. How are you? Good. Good. Another beautiful day.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. Wonderful day. I was telling the other crew, wonderful day to be wearing a wool jacket.
Yes.
Absolutely beautiful out here.
Absolutely.
It's remarkable. Good morning, everybody. I am Lieutenant John B Greene, a pilot in the United States Army. I was born in Manchester in 1909. My father, Alphonse, was a well-known West Side contractor who loved horse racing. I attended heavy school at St. Mary's, West High, and the University of New Hampshire. At West High, I was distinguished in my studies and won letters in football, basketball, and baseball. At UNH, I was an outstanding athlete, earning 3 boxing letters. After my graduation in 1930, I attended graduate school for a year and became assistant boxing coach. In 1931, I went to Kelly Field, Texas, for a course in aviation. My commission came because of my extra military training at UNH and Camp Devens, Massachusetts. In February 1934, a mail plane I was piloting crashed near Salt Lake City, Utah, and my body was brought back to Manchester for a full military funeral held at St. Mary's Church. On June 1927, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen approved spending $15,000 to begin development of a Manchester airport. The board was no doubt influenced by the words of renowned airfield construction expert Carl Kennison, who had told them, "You have the best natural site for an airport of any municipality in England, bar none." New England, rather. The airport continued to grow, and 15 years later, 2 names were submitted to the United States government to rename the Manchester Air Base. The 2 entries were former Mayor Arthur E. Monroe and John B. Greene. On January 22nd, 1942, I was honored by having the new Air Force Base dedicated as Greene Field. Thank you. I had a lot of names to choose from.
Could you repeat the last time? What year was it dedicated as Greene Field?
The year was January 22nd, 1942.
Thank you.
Hello. Good morning. Welcome, my friends. A throng of 4,000 persons braved threatening weather on May 26, 1940, to witness the renaming of Park Common to Kalivas Park. I am Christos Kalivas, and I emigrated to this country from Vetho, Greece in 1908, and went overseas on July 6, 1918, although not back to Greece. In action at the Meuse-Argonne offensive in France, while a member of Company C, 16th Infantry, 1st Division, I became the first Greek American from Manchester to fall in action. On Sunday, March 29, 1959, on the 138th anniversary of Greek independence, impressive ceremonies dedicated to the Christos Kalivas monument in the park that bears my name. This was in recognition of being the first Greek American to give my life in the service of the United States in World War I. The monument's inscription reads, "In abiding memory of Christos Kalivas, who was the first Greek American to sacrifice his life for our country in World War I." Many others were in attendance and had kind words to share about me and my ultimate sacrifice. Congressman Foster Steems, who served with Company D of the same regiment in France, later said of me, "Christos Kalivas died for his country, but on each of us lies what may prove to be the complicated task of living for our country." Another fellow countryman, New England consul in Boston, Mr. Liatis, asserted that my death constituted one more link in the unbreakable friendship between this country and Greece, not merely because I was a native of Macedonia, but moreover because I fought and died for what it seems to me to be the common ideals of our two countries, the ideals of freedom and justice and Christian morality. State Senate President Norman Packard, representing Governor Wesley Powell, told a crowd of several hundred people that there is a great deal of relationship between your 138th anniversary and the dedication of this beautiful monument to Christos and Kalivas, who shed his life's blood on the battlefield of France, fighting to make the world safe for democracy. The Greek heroes of 1821 threw off the Turkish yoke because they could no longer live under tyranny. Christos Kalivas died for just about the same reason, to prevent another nation from placing millions of free people under their power. I stand before you a very proud Greek American.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any Greek Americans here? Manchester does have a pretty good Greek community.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to my little corner of the park.
You went escorted this morning.
Well, thankfully there are many military men around. I feel safe. Come along in. How lovely to see you all. My name is Lena Lockwood, but you may call me Lena. I was born in April 5th of 1884, so that means I just had a birthday. And if you're quick with the maths, you know that I just turned 137. But I think I've held up rather well, don't you? I was the youngest daughter and the 8th child of Irish immigrants. I grew up on Harrison Street, right here in Manchester, and was educated and graduated from the Ash Street Grammar School and Manchester High School. I worked as a teacher while I attended 2 years of normal school, followed by 2 more years at Lynn Hospital Nursing School in Massachusetts, graduating in 1908. I combined my love of teaching and nursing while working in private homes, district nursing, child welfare, and was a pioneer public health nurse in New Hampshire and Massachusetts schools. I also served during World War I as a Red Cross nurse. On August 7th, 1918, I sailed to Padova, Italy, to head a hospital there. It was this endeavor that earned me a citation from the Italian government. I returned home after the war and settled back in Manchester, living with my sister on Maple Street. I worked several years as a public health nurse for the New Hampshire Tuberculosis Association, and in 1922 I was appointed Chief of the Division of Child Hygiene for the state of New Hampshire and Supervisor of Public Health Nursing. In 1927, I married Maurice H. Lockwood in Manhattan, New York, and we moved to Springfield, Massachusetts. At this time, I decided to leave nursing behind, and I became greatly active in the local women's clubs, serving as president of the Western Massachusetts Club, and I also served as president of the Springfield League of Women Voters, and at the same time headed the committee on the legal status of women. I died in April of 1962 in Winnetka, Illinois, at the age of 78, and I am buried in Sacred Heart Cemetery in Northbrook, Illinois. I'd like to think that I had a tremendous impact on the New Hampshire women of the day and their children. I led my life always seeking and promoting a healthier life for both mother and children through education. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Good morning. My name is Henry John Sweeney. And I was born September 12th, 1897 in the Squaw region on the west side by St. Raphael's, Douglas Street, Piscataquag. I was the son of Mr. and Mrs. Jeremiah Sweeney. And while attending St. Raphael's Church and school, I was remembered as a very fun-loving and popular young man. I grew to become a tinsmith on the west side. The United States entered World War I, back then the Great War, in April of 1917. And less than 1 month later, on May 1st, 1917, I voluntarily enlisted in Company B, the old Sheridan Guard. I was transferred from Concord to Westfield, Mass, after the 1st New Hampshire Infantry had been partially absorbed by the 103rd Regiment, 26th Division. In July of 1917, I married my high school sweetheart, Winifred Mildred Grant. Unfortunately, a few weeks later, I was deployed to England to join the troops already fighting in France. I wrote many letters to my wife and my father and brothers and sisters. I was always in good health, good spirits, and I was ready to fight for freedom when my time came. Sadly, though, on February 18th, 1918, at the young age of 20, I became Manchester's first casualty of World War I. I was mortally wounded by the effects of a shell that was bursting that landed right beside me. And I died in action at Cezanne, France, in the Chambre des Dames sector. However, I was buried near the regiments of 1 PC in the Chambre des Dames in a grave that was properly marked so that after the war had ended, they could move my body and be brought back to the United States. I was buried with full military honors at the old cemetery, Joseph Cemetery on Douglas Street, and my funeral was actually here at St. Joe's Cathedral. I invite you to go visit my park, Sweeney Park, on the west side by St. Raphael's. There's a bust of me that was created by and crafted by Luc Gosselin, who you'll meet on the other side over here. In November of 1931, that's when the bronze statue was erected in my honor. Do you have any questions or anything? I thank you for coming. No. It was really quite nice that they marked my grave in France to bring me over, and it was August 6th, 1921. So almost 3 years later, they exhumed me and brought me over. Had full military honors. What was that?
Nice that your name lives on.
Yes, yes. And there's the Sweeney Post. They're on Maple Street, I believe. Yes. So thank you. Any questions or anything? You can. Oh. Yep.
Yeah, I just didn't want to cross the flower bed.
Good morning.
Good.
How about you?
Beautiful day, so can't really complain, right? I am William H. Jutrus, an officer in the Lafayette Guard, Yankee Division, World War I. I volunteered to carry a warning to my platoon in an attempt to keep them from being ambushed by German machine gun nests lying in wait. I succeeded and saved my platoon from total annihilation. After my death in 1918, I was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, and Jutrus Post 43, the American Legion, was named after me here in Manchester. A graveside ceremony is held each year in my honor, and a mass is said at the St. Augustine Jutrus Post Memorial Monument located at Mount Calvary Cemetery on Manchester's west side. Luc Gosselin was the sculptor of this monument, and artist Omer Lasande was the technical advisor for the Jutrus Post Memorial Monument. The decision to use Gosselin was made after viewing a model submitted by him, and he had just at the time recently completed the Prolaski Equestrian Monument at Pulaski Park. My memorial is made out of New Hampshire granite, a soldier cast in bronze, and a cross flanked by 2 columns. It is 15 feet tall and 4 feet wide. It was constructed by the Federal Art Project of the Works Progress Administration and was sponsored by Jutrus Post 43. The total cost at the time was about $10,000. $7,000 of that amount furnished by the WPA, and the remaining $3,000 raised by subscription from the Jutrus Post. The memorial was dedicated on Sunday, October 8, 1939, with over 5,000 people in attendance. And I am honored to be remembered by such a beautiful monument erected as a tribute to the memory of Manchester's veterans, World Wars I, II, and beyond.
Well, good morning. My name is Dr. George Sanford Foster, and I was born on April 20th, 1882. I graduated from Manchester High School in 1901, and wanting to continue my education, I went on to attend University of Edinburgh, the University of Berlin, and then returned to get my doctorate from Tufts Medical School in 1906. I was happy to return to Manchester to start practicing medicine on February 1, 1907 at Notre Dame Hospital as a surgeon and pathologist. Over the years, I also became well known throughout the state as an ornithologist. Wanting to serve my country the best way I could, I enlisted for World War I in the U.S. Army Medical Corps as a surgeon. Once the war was over, I returned to Manchester to continue practicing medicine at the Notre Dame Hospital. And then in 1925, I founded the Lucy Hastings Memorial Hospital just north of here at 1038 Union Street. And that was named after my great-grandmother. I worked hard at the hospital for several years until the outbreak of World War II, where I once again answered the call to serve, this time in the United States Naval Reserve as a lieutenant commander. Unfortunately, I died suddenly while on active duty, July 10th, 1945, at the age of 63, just after the end of the war in Europe. I was returned home and buried in the Pine Grove Cemetery in Manchester. Throughout my life, I was very involved in the community here in Manchester. I was on the board of trustees for the Merrimack Boys Club from 1932 until the time of my death in 1945. I wrote several books on birds, health, and my faith in God. I was involved in the Lions Club, the YMCA, Manchester Rotary Club, the Manchester Historic Association. I was past president of the Manchester Bird Club and a 32nd degree Freemason. I would later donate the land that became the present-day Camp Foster to the Manchester Boys Club, now the Boys and Girls Club, and that was named for my late father. And it was a testament to my dedication to the community and to its youth.
Good morning, folks. Morning. Welcome. Good morning. Nice to have you. Feel free to have a seat if you like. Just circle in. I am Rene Gagnon. I am a Marine from Manchester, made famous by my part in raising the American flag in the Battle of Iwo Jima during World War II. I was born in Manchester on March 7th, 1925, to French-Canadian immigrants Henri and Irene Gagnon. As a teenager, I worked as a bicycle messenger for Western Union until I enlisted in the U.S. Marines on May 6, 1943. As a 19-year-old Marine on the battle-torn island of Iwo Jima on February 23, 1945, I was handed an American flag and ordered to deliver it to the top of Mount Suribachi. When I arrived at the summit, I turned the flag over to 6 men, 5 Marines and a Navy corpsman, who together raised the flag. As the flag was raised, the image was captured by Associated Press photographer Joe Rosenthal in what would become one of the most iconic images of the war, and what many consider to be the most reproduced photograph of all time. Due to the popularity of the photograph, the War Department sent me and my 2 surviving comrades on a U.S. bonds tour to raise money for the war. After the tour, I was assigned to serve in China until the end of the war. At the time, I was believed to have been one of the flag raisers. Some 75 years after the fact, the Marine Corps announced that while I had carried the flag up the mountain, I was in fact not a flag raiser. After being discharged from the Marines in 1946, I returned to Manchester, where I lived and worked until my death in October of 1979. Interesting bit of history for our city, don't you think? This plaque was dedicated in 1995, prior to discovering that I had not in fact raised, but I will point out, what would they have raised if I had not carried that flag up the mountain? An important distinction, I think. Say that again, please.
You were under fire?
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. I didn't get there just in time to raise, but it was an important part of it, right? Exactly. This plaque here says, following the bloody invasion of Iwo Jima and 4 days of savage combat on the island fortress 600 miles from Japan, 5 Marines, including Manchester's Rene Gagnon, not really, and Navy corpsmen raised the stars and stripes and became part of the most famous photo of World War II. Who doesn't know that image? Everyone knows that image. I think we'll just keep this here and just keep it like we know it, right? We'll just...
No. Accidentally missed you.
Oh. Well, welcome. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're enjoying the tour so far. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'm Luc Gosselin, and I was born in Whitefield, New Hampshire. My father was of French ancestry, settling first in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and then New Hampshire. My mother came from a family of sculptors. The best known among them was Philip Hebert of Montreal, whose monuments are known in that city and throughout the provinces of Quebec and Ontario. As a small boy, I attended St. Augustine's Academy. By 1909, without ever taking a lesson, I had completed a bust of Napoleon Bonaparte as my first work. The second was that of my uncle Philip Hebert, the sculptor, and my third a statuette of Abraham Lincoln. In 1911, I enrolled in l'Académie Julienne in Paris, France, where I studied for 2 years, and I won a gold medal in sculpture competition. I returned to Manchester in 1916 and opened a studio, executing numerous statues and medallions of prominent Franco-Americans throughout New England and New York. Among some of the outstanding monuments in Manchester that I have completed include this War Memorial here in Victory Park, Sweeney Memorial, Jutrus Post Memorial, Prolaski Memorial, the Joseph P. Chattel Memorial at St. Augustine Cemetery, the marble statues at St. Joseph's Chapel, the Alfred J. Chrétien Memorial, and T.J. Lebrec Memorials at Mount Calvary Cemetery, and the busts of Bishop Girton, Dr. Auguste Brienne, and Franklin Pierce. I also executed large panels of relief or plaques, among them St. Joseph Grammar School, St. Anthony School, soldiers killed in World War I, and Reverend Lewis Ramsey, chaplain of Jutrus Post. But alas, my greatest works were never to be, because the funding fell short. One was the $50,000 War Memorial of Joan of Arc in Lafayette Park, opposite St. Marie Church and facing the city. My second work that never came to be was a colossal eagle on top of Rock Rimmon. This was to measure 10 feet in diameter on a pedestal 20 feet high. The eagle itself would measure 12 feet from its claws to its bill, and to the tip of its outstretched wings, 18 feet. This great bird passed over a series of esplanades and stair approaches, and would be visible for miles when illuminated at night. It was my honor to create a legacy for myself, paying tribute to these important people here in the city I love through my art. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please feel free to take a look at my war memorial if you'd like, and enjoy the rest of the tour.